preseason edition of the 2024 season. I'm Nick, joined always by Kevin.
What's up, Niner Nation?
Producer Brad, making it all go.
Hey, hey.
And head coach Robert Woodard. What's up, Woody?
We're back.
We are back. How awesome is that? You know what I'm saying? We're back, boys. This is home. This is where we're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Baseball season.
Yeah, man. All right. So we've got tonight's show. This is sort of the preseason show. Next week we'll be able to talk about previewing the Virginia Tech series, but we're going to kind of talk some general stuff, talk some general baseball roster, staff, technology stuff tonight. And hopefully when tonight's over, if you weren't already psyched up for baseball season, you will be. And then we'll come back to you next week and get you ready for opening week. So, Coach, we're just gonna jump headlong in here. The good news is there's lots of good news to be had. Your staff, you and your staff, are all intact. Going to run it back again for 2024. But you did make a slight adjustment to your staff, even though it's the same group of people. Why don't you start there?
Yeah, no, we were excited to announce a few weeks ago that the promotion of Michael O from our pitching coordinator position to our pitching coach position. And really from the day-to-day, not a whole lot will change. Other than he is going to have, even more pitching responsibility on his plate. I mean, this is year 5 for our coaching staff now. And when the band started this thing, I was the head coach, pitching coach. And then, Coach Miney came here and he was our pitching coordinator, and then eventually got promoted after a year to pitching coach after, really just kind of, I guess the way I kind of like it is I really have enjoyed the process of bringing in really smart, talented, hardworking people that are just really care a ton about the program success. And on the pitching side, like Austin and Mike, and really just trying to, kind of give them a ton of responsibility. I mean, when you're a pitching coordinator on a program, you're basically a pitching coach. I'm kind of the co-pilot, I guess in the cockpit sort of thing. And then basically, we kind of get to a place for a year and a half where we feel like everything's in a great situation with our pitchers on a daily basis, their training, their development, their coaching, their pregame prep, their in-game competition, competitive abilities and all those things on the recruiting side as well, in terms of just, Coach Miney came from P3 in St. Louis. So there was just a lot of recruiting things on the, on the things to learn. And then, Coach O's going from player to coach. So just some, just some things that you don't know what you don't know, and you got to get in it. And once we kind of feel like we get to a place where they've got a great grasp around all those things, it's like, hey, this is your plan to fly on the pitching side. And then that allows me to still be involved with the pitchers. I'm always going to be involved. And Coach O and I talk daily about pitching and, our staff and guys individually. And I'm in the bullpen still with guys when they're throwing. So I'm still involved, but, he's really kind of the lead. He's the lead voice when it comes to just our pitchers and how they're doing, the direction and things that they need to be working on and just those types of things. So, he's more than ready. He's probably the youngest Division I pitching coach in the country, which, he's again, so deserving, but also just an incredibly bright future. I mean, I feel that way about every coach on our staff. I think like every year we take a team photo, and then I just try to make sure that we take a staff photo after we take the team photo, just because I'm so proud of the guys that I get to work with and coach with, because I think one day we'll look back. I mean, I'd like to think that we could be like a Virginia staff, that those coaches get to stay together for 10, 15, 20 years. But that's just very optimistic when you have such talented coaches on staff. So, I think it'll be the kind of thing we'll look back 10, 20 years from now at the staff photos and be like, man, can you believe that? Like, can you believe we all got to be together, for however many years we are, and we just try to enjoy every day. But anyways, Coach O is the guys love him. I think he's definitely one of the best young pitching minds in the country. And I've already had pro teams reach out to me. I've already had other college programs reach out to me, with interest from him. And, truthfully, the last 3 years from coaches from, other coaches on our staff. And, we feel like we're a band and we love playing together and coaching together and being at the Hayes every day together. So to your point, we're just excited to get to run it back again.
Well, just as we reset the table here for 2024, why don't you quickly run through and remind everyone what instrument the rest of the band plays with your staff?
Well, I'm definitely not lead vocals, but so I don't know what my instrument is, but we'll start with Coach Bick. He's back in his 5th year as our associate head coach and recruiting coordinator. He does a ton with our infielders, our base running. He helps with our catchers, our outfielders. He's involved with running the offense. Really, there's no aspect of the program he's not involved with. And, he's got his hands on everything and just is, I can't imagine, we would not be where we are today without everything he does. And Philip Sebuhar is our hitting coach, and he really spearheads the recruiting with Toby. And those two guys are kind of like a two-headed monster in terms of their motors on the recruiting trail and the phone calls and the correspondence and the visits and talent evaluation. But then, in this day and age, I think there's a lot of coaches out there. You're sort of either one or the other. You're either a great coach who's, recruiting's not your thing, or you're a great recruiter and then you get in practice and all that stuff, and that's not really your thing. And I think those two guys are about as good of a combination of recruiting and coaching as I've been around, and that's, I've been fortunate to get to coach with Scott Forbes and Scott Jackson and some other really good ones. So, and they're right there in the discussion with those guys, and they're just awesome. So Tyler Simmons is our director of player development, and he's also our catching coordinator. So, he's the Swiss Army knife that can literally, our catchers love working with him. He helps us integrate all the technology that we are thankful to have, continued to upgrade and install, every single year we've been here. He really takes that on, but then, he does a lot of the operations stuff as well, as far as just team travel and our nutrition station and meals and all this kinds of things. So he's heavily involved in that, and then we've got Michael O that we mentioned as far as our pitching coach, recently promoted, and how bright a future he has. And, he just does a tremendous job in keeping our pitching training at the forefront in terms of at the forefront with technology and individualized training. And he works very closely with Eric McKibben and Donna Nemo. We believe that our player development really is kind of a triangle in the sense of like, there's the coach, then there's the performance coach, and there's the athletic trainer, and all of those things really, we all have to be connected to really have our guys firing on all cylinders. And Coach McKibben is an elite strength coach. And we're just so fortunate that he gets to work with us and softball only. So, that really works well just in terms of just the day-to-day. And, our guys love training with him, and they're so fortunate. He came from Premier Pitching Performance in St. Louis, training big leaguers and professionals and at a really high level. And, we're just so fortunate to have him. So, yeah. I think I cover all 6 of us, I think. And then Donna Nemo, our athletic trainer, she's in her 3rd year now and is just a grinder. She's one of the first ones in, the last one out, and make sure that our guys, everything from short-term to long-term stuff they're dealing with are getting the best possible care. And, we're just so fortunate to have her with our program as well. So incredible support here. And, the best part about it for me is just that we all work together, but we're also friends, and that makes it even better.
We said this on the softball show last week, but it's worth repeating here that when you look at the success that's been had on both sides of Phillips Road, it's no coincidence that Eric McKibben works with both programs. That didn't just accidentally happen. He's a big part of that.
Huge part of it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we try to do everything we possibly can to take care of him and Nikki, and I hope that we get to coach together for a long, long time.
Coach, let's talk about some facility upgrades. We announced this was announced last year during the season, but we partnered with SMT 6 Tool Tracking. I think we announced it last season, but we implemented it during the fall. Talk to us a little bit about that partnership and kind of what new tools we have for player development at your hands now.
Yeah, essentially, we'll be one of the probably 20 to 30 programs in the entire country that'll have access to this technology. And it's a 4-camera system. You can look up top. So there's some security cameras on kind of the side of the Hayes press box, and then on top, on the corners, there's 4 cameras that they shoot down the foul lines in both gaps, and then basically it splits the entire surface of the Hayes into 4 slices of pie, I guess you could say. And basically it tracks the movement of every player and the baseball. It's triggered by the throwing of a pitch. So once the ball leaves the hand of the pitcher, basically everything is captured, from where the players are on the field to the pitch metrics to the ball being batted, the batted ball metrics, where the players move, where the runners move, how fast they move on every single play, right? So, like, for example, we know that Renee Lastris threw out one of our base runners trying to steal on him this past weekend with an 89-mile-an-hour throw from the crouch position at a 1.84 pop time. And that's not from a stopwatch, and that's coming from the technology that we have now. And so we can start to identify our guys' strengths. Certainly the eye is going to be able to look at that throw and say, wow, that's an incredible throw. But to be able to quantify it and for guys to be able to understand that, hey, maybe like this is the new bar for me, and understand that we say, like, once you see something, you can't unsee it. So once you throw a certain speed or run a certain speed or cover a certain ground, then, theoretically you can do it again and or try to exceed it. So basically, all the technology we have now in place, and being one of the 30 schools in the country that have access to this on a daily basis, just allows us to be that much more thorough in identifying players and where they can and need to develop, and then also where our weaknesses are as a program and where we need to get better as a team.
So that system is creating like raw data for you. What's the process? Like you had those stats on Lastris throwing out a runner at second. How does that? Who on staff is taking that raw data that the system is generating and making it into something that's usable, that's user friendly for you and the staff?
So the way this system works, and I've had to learn here relatively recently. So basically, they have all of our scrimmage times and they have all of our game times. So the system is set up to turn on automatically at the game time that we play. So now that the system is already set in terms of like turning on and starting capturing at that game time and beyond, when the game ends, Doc B will signify that the game is over, and then we send over the game files to SMT, and then SMT filters that data. They sort of mine that data overnight, and I'm told that if we, post game Friday night, by Saturday at noon, we should have. There's an SMT dashboard that all of our coaches can log into, and we can pull up the game and we can look at all the metrics on our computers.
Wow. I mean, it is amazing what is possible now. It's like even gosh, 5 years ago, certainly 10, but even 5 years ago, would you have thought that this level of analysis was possible?
That's a great question. Honestly, I kind of hoped because 5 years ago, well, I would say even 7 or 8 years ago, I got to see firsthand one of the, a brilliant student by the name of Micah Daly Harris, whom I teamed up with at the University of North Carolina. I mean, his freshman year, sophomore year, and junior year, for 3 years, I mean, he was basically in my office every night I was in there, and sitting on the couch with his laptop, and I got to see him writing code and creating a dashboard for just our program, and all the hours and all of the things that he had to do to create that himself, to where our players, back then could see it all on their phones, and it was, if you want anything you wanted, but this is just a lot more thorough, a lot smoother, a lot less time consuming. And again, not just as much for me, but as more so for the analysts and like Doc B and Micah and those guys. So it's really important. I mean, these guys, the players, you only have a certain window to achieve your goals and aspirations, and pretty much every coach is a former player, and so we should all understand that. And so we try to look through the lens that remembering our days as players and the things that we didn't have access to, and think about how cool it would be to have access to that, and how much that would have helped us when we were players, and try to maintain that perspective. And so that's why we prioritize it as a program. And thankfully we have support from the Grand Slam Club, and we have support from administration, and they understand. Our administration understands, they've understood from the beginning that this is where we wanted to go, that we wanted Charlotte baseball to be, not necessarily like lead the charge, but we want to run at the front of the pack with, the teams in college baseball that value these things.
Well, speaking of having access to data, if any of you guys have been out to a scrimmage at the Hayes, the TrackMan data is sitting up on the brand new scoreboard. So every pitch, you're getting data visible to all the fans, visible to umpire, visible to all the players and coaches. So you're getting up-to-date live data that you can access. And I really enjoyed watching the scrimmages and seeing that data, trying to figure it out at first, and then analyzing it myself. Nick and I having discussions about the ball moving which way or the other, and get the exit velo, you get the launch angle, you get the distance. It's a lot. It's great having that right in front of you. I know the umpires there had it yesterday as well, and we were kind of grading the umpires based on that as well. He did a great job.
Yeah, Blue did well yesterday.
Yeah, Terrence is a stud. He works a lot of our scrimmages, and he does a great job. And the umpires nowadays, they want that stuff. They get more so now than ever that they're being held accountable for being as close to that zone as possible. And the only way for them to really get better at it is to have access to it. So I don't know. I think we'll just leave it up there every game in season and just.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad idea. That sounds like
the ESPN Plus feed needs to have an option. The StatCast option. So at least if you're watching at home, you can see that stuff. That would be
cool.
That would be excellent. But I understand there's some rules and regulations that prohibit that at the stadium.
I will say,
what's that?
Well, I was just going to say, at one point during the scrimmage on Sunday night, we did migrate down there into that area in between the dugout and the indoor facility and the MIMS facility, because we were just trying to get a closer look at the scoreboard, trying to read some of the metrics. So for the first time ever, we actually moved to a place where we couldn't see the game as well so that we could see the data better. I mean, that's just kind of a sign of the times, right?
You remember our first interview, like right when I got hired, before I even got to campus, we did a phone interview and you guys were asking me about big data baseball and you're asking me about all that stuff. And man, think about how far we've come.
Yeah. It's true.
Cool.
Yeah,
it is.
Not to lead us down a rabbit hole here, but it's popped up, and you've mentioned Micah multiple times over the years. What industry did he go into? What
he's an analyst for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and ironically, he's on the hitting side, which he was emphasis, helped me for 3 years on the pitching side and we did hitting stuff too. But we prioritized the pitching side and the defensive positioning side and the umpire scouting side. Anything that was run prevention, we really tried to prioritize. But he's an analyst with the Diamondbacks. He's a stud, future GM. He's brilliant, and he was a huge part of our success.
That would be the home club of one Spencer Geesting.
Yeah, and go figure. They're in the World Series now, and they value those things. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, and you took you did a great segue there, because I was going to mention the Grand Slam Club right there, and you're all over it, because if you're ever wondered what the Grand Slam Club does, we've been talking about it for like 10 or 15 minutes about all the things that are possible now. The technology upgrades. I know there's more to come on the facilities front, Coach, but on the technology side of the facility equation, you're right. It's been remarkable to watch what's happened. As far
we're pretty close to. We're definitely not done, but we've covered a lot of ground to where we are today. The biggest thing now is probably a Kinnetrack stadium unit is probably the last big piece that I would say that we don't have, that there are some schools that have. And basically what that is that's like a biomechanic system that captures the biomechanics of like every pitcher and hitter in game, and so that you can find like their mechanical flaws a little bit easier. That's a bigher price tag system.
But we do have a biomechanics lab on campus.
We do, yeah, and we do 3D motion capture once a year with our pitchers and hitters. But there's stadium units now that there's about 8 to 10 teams in the country that have in place that, that's probably that's the last piece of the puzzle, I think, for us in terms of being at the very top of college baseball in terms of technological capabilities, other than having, a pitching lab in our facility. But I think that we've got enough of the bases covered, for where we are, from where we started to where we are now. Like, we've covered a lot of ground.
Which there's an article out there. I guess it might be a little older than I think, 2 or 3 years old now. But when a handful of major league clubs wanted to up their game as far as biomechanics, they came to UNC Charlotte and visited our campus's biometrics lab.
Yep.
And I, it's funny looking back because when we started talking about the our initial conversation with you and what you wanted to bring to the table and how that interfaced with what we're already doing in the College of Engineering, not to blow my own horn, but I will. I think that Grand Slam club, that first pitch dinner that we had online, I made the comment that it wouldn't be long until Major League Baseball player or Major League Baseball teams were coming here to find out what we were doing. And sure enough, later, about a year later, there's an article comes out that that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
So what the College of Engineering's done and what you guys are doing it's just fantastic. Kevin's laughing at me because he's like, you only got one thing right. And I know that's right. It's the only thing I've ever gotten right, but still I was right about something. So not letting that one go.
I'm always impressed by you, Nick. That's why I'm just smiling.
It's the only thing I've ever gotten right.
That's not true.
All right, go ahead. I'll cut you off. Go ahead.
No, well, let's talk about. I know you like to talk about some preseason accolades here.
That's my favorite thing to talk about.
Yeah, coaches love that stuff.
Yeah, so
real quick, can you recall all of our preseason accolades from 2 years ago? Can you recall? What about 3 years ago?
No,
you can't. Okay. What about the postseason accolades? Can you recall some of those?
A lot of those, yes.
Yeah, the postseason stuff. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
But yes, we can talk about them.
It's all we have to talk about right now. So
yeah,
we just gotta go with it.
It's a good starting point of seeing kind of what folks think. But we picked to finish second by the coaches in the AAC. Our first year in a new American Athletic Conference. Very impressive. Cam Hansen was named to the preseason All AAC Conference, All Conference team, and there's a few publications that put out their AAC preview. I think Brandon Stallman was on one of the lists for perfect game. He was an All AAC player, and even today, I know you love the February bracketology. They've got us picked as a 3-seed, coach. So
a 3-seed where?
In Clemson Regional. So that's where we're projected. So in the February bracketology for baseball.
That's Baseball America.
Baseball America, yeah, Baseball America.
Very creative.
Well, the first thing I thought when I saw that 3-seed in Clemson prediction was Clemson doesn't want this smoke. They're over that.
It's a new year.
Right.
It's a new year. We play them twice, and I said it throughout that entire regional. I mean, our coaching staff we're friends with that coaching staff, and I mean what they did in their first year there in terms of winning the ACC and being a national seed, hosting a regional. I mean, that's pretty dang impressive, and so I'll forever be proud of that 3-2 win, though. I'll tell you that. I mean, our guys empty the tank to beat a really, really good Clemson team in Doug Kingsmore. Like that's, I think people that like y'all and our family members and people that just pay attention to college baseball, you just know how hard that is to do. But it's, you cannot luck your way into that situation and that outcome. And I just, those things are years in the making. And so I'm always going to be so proud of last year's team for what they were able to accomplish. And I mean, I'd say too, I mean, I joke about, the lack of creativity, I guess, for, being put as a 3-seed in the Clemson regional, but, we don't take that stuff for granted. I mean, when we got here, we were picked next to last in Conference USA, and no scouts came to watch us play, in our 17 games in 2020 before it was cut short. And quite honestly, like that made me really mad because I thought we had good players, and that team was on the verge of showing some people that they were wrong before it got cut short. But, and then fast forward to 2021, you got Bryce McGowan and a bunch of other guys that Aaron McKeithen and a bunch of other guys that scouts are coming in to see and helping us win a bunch of games. And the rest is sort of history since then. And we just don't take it for granted because I remember where we were when we started. And, for the coaches. Yeah, I think there was – I think somebody told me there was 12, but I think actually at one point I think there was like 15 or 16 MLB teams there represented. And I've already got friends of mine that are scouting directors and assistant GMs that are texting me that they're coming to our Virginia Tech series and our West Virginia series, obviously to see our guys, but then I think Virginia Tech's got a really good third baseman and Carson DeMartini and or DiMartino and JJ Weatherhold is potential 1-1 overall pick for West Virginia. So, and they have really good teams. So, but that was the vision and the goal when we got here. We believed that Charlotte could be that and be the type of program that the best players in the country wanted to come play for and put the uniform on and, pursue their dreams of putting numbers on the outfield wall and hosting regionals, going to the College World Series and getting drafted. So, we just feel like now more than ever, we've knocked on the door for a few years and it's just time to kind of knock that thing open.
So I think we've established how you feel about preseason accolades, but I'd like to ask you to react, if you would, to you're in a brand new league. We have a lot of conference mates that came with us from last year, but you're in a brand new league. And we're going to get to this. You've got 31 new players on the roster and the league's coaches. This is not some media creation. The league's coaches, your peers, picked you second.
Yeah. It's just, I've got a ton of respect. As we have had coaches calls all the time, just in terms of, getting to know the other coaches in the league and deciding on all types of logistical things and rules for the conference and that sort of thing. And if you go if you take 10 minutes and you just go look at the coaching staffs at all the other American baseball programs, it's a pretty impressive list of coaches that I have a ton of respect for, and for them to pick us second, like you said, with virtually a whole new team with a core group of players. I think it says a lot about the program. I think it says a lot about our coaching staff and our recruitment of the best players in the country, and then the development of them while they're here. And I'm really proud of that. And but it's one of those things that we don't kick our feet up on preseason stuff. If anything, the goal is to be first, quite frankly, too. And East Carolina's they've set the bar for the American Conference year in and year out, and they've hosted regionals and they've been in super regionals, and they've had a first class program for a long, long time. And so our first year going in with them and them being picked first is no surprise, and us being second. And we've just got our coach. I think both of our coaching staffs just have a ton of respect for one another, and we're excited to get to have 3 matchups every year with those guys, just because, like I said, they've set the bar in the American for a number of years, and those will be some fun games to be a part of.
All right, Coach. Well, let's talk about some of the players. Do you want to go around? Let's go around the diamond like we normally do, Nick. What do you say?
Yeah, let's go around the diamond.
Let's start with the catcher room. The catcher's room. You got Caden Hobson returning, veteran behind the plate. We've also brought in Renee Lastris from Florida, transfer from Florida. Talk a little bit about the catchers you have working behind the plate.
Yeah, those two and Eli Duncan. We couldn't feel much better about our catching room than we have. And Caden's caught here for 2 years, virtually probably 95% of our games for 2 years, and we haven't won less than 36 games with him back there. So, I think that says a lot about him and his ability to two pitching staffs that have also, I think, struck out over 600 guys the last 2 years with him back there. So it's you feel really good about him, and he's just made himself an even better catcher than he was last year, and he's one of our best hitters. He's got, he can hit lefties, he can get on base. He's hitting for more power. His arm strength's gotten even stronger. His blocking, receiving he's top 50 preseason, I think, D1 baseball catchers in the country, and he's just really good. And then you bring in Rene Lastris on top of that, who's the backup on a College World Series runner-up team. And, his skill set just, sky's the limit for him. So, I think for us, we're very fortunate that we don't have a 1A and 1B. Like, we've got 2 number 1 catchers, and it'll just be our responsibility as coaches to put those guys in positions to be successful. And the nice thing is that Rene hits righty and Caden hits lefty, and they just are both very good. And so you can start to do some things as far as, starting one of them and pinch hitting. They bring, if they bring them in a matchup, we can pinch hit Caden or we can pinch hit Rene and not lose much, lose really anything behind the plate, or, we can just alternate games and Caden doesn't have to carry such a workload. I think by the end of the season, you can kind of see that Caden's, he's one of the toughest players I've ever coached. Like, I don't think people understand how tough it is to do what Caden Hobson has done for the last 2 years for Charlotte baseball. He is taking a beating back there at the toughest position and playing every single game. So he wants to be back there every single game, but I think it's just going to be, you're going to see an even better version of himself who's already really good, just having, a little bit more help there, I guess. So excited for those guys. Yeah.
I think when fans see Caden Hobson, they're going to immediately observe that it looks like Hops put on 15 or 20 pounds. And I don't mean via donuts. Hops looking like he's added some muscle in the off season.
I don't want to shortchange him, but I think he can single leg squat 500, rear foot elevated, something crazy, staggered squat 500 pounds or something like that. His lower half is incredibly strong, and again, that's just, he's in year 3 of training with Eric McKibben. So
yeah. We probably put on some weight in the off season too, but it's not going to help us. But yeah, Hop's looking strong. The first thing you notice about Lastris is just how, talking about arm strength.
Yeah, he's got a cannon.
Rene can absolutely, he's got a cannon. That's the only way to describe it.
Yeah, he's got a cannon. So we got some good ones back there.
That's right. I got a lot of options. Sounds like a lot of matchups you can work with there. Let's do the corner infielders. Let's talk about first base, third base. Spencer Nolan spent a lot of time over there last season. Looks like he's going to move out to the outfield this year. Talk about your first baseman that you have over there on the
yeah, first, I think you have to start. I think you have to start with Juan Correa. He's one of the biggest recruits in our incoming class. Huge get for us out of the state of Florida, and just incredible talent in the batter's box. But he's got really good hands and feet, and can make some really good plays over there. And you guys know I really value first base defense. Offense is important, but we put Spencer Nolan there about 20 games in last year, and he didn't come out the rest of the way because it was just run prevention city having him over there. So
it's a big place in Houston.
Yeah, we don't win the conference championship if he's not there at first. And when you have Jake Cunningham in center field, you can have Spencer Nolan at first base. So we kind of had that luxury in a sense. But with Jake moving on, and Spence can still play first, right? But just in terms of every team's a little bit different year to year. Just this team compared to last, with Jake being gone, Spence really shrinks the outfield for us. So he's moved out to center, and he can play all three outfield positions. You got Juan at first. You have Jacob Goolsby, who's right there with Juan. Juan's a right-handed hitter. Goolsby's a left-handed hitter. I think in the preseason, Gools has got our most home runs offensively, and he's worked hard with Coach Bick and made himself into a really good defender at first base. So I don't know. We've got three really good options at first base. Certainly two if Spence stays in the outfield. So yeah, and then you go over to the other side of the infield. I think you start with Noah Furch, who has been one of our best offensive players, and very similar to Stallman last year. It was kind of like from the beginning, we knew he was going to hit, and we know he's going to be one of our best offensive players. Also a shortstop at junior college, like Stallman was a shortstop at State Fair, and Noah was a shortstop at Kirkwood. But Noah's really made himself into even better third baseman since he's been here. He's been really good. Dante DeFranco's been really good. I mean, DeFranco's been one of our best fielders at any position we put him at, whether it's third, short, center, second, really anywhere. And his offense is up to tick. His power is up to tick. His on base is up to tick, and he's one of our best base runners. So, Noah and Dante over there. Juan Correa can even play a little bit of third base if we wanted to go a little bit more offensive and we wanted to slide Noah to another position and that type of thing. Like, we could get creative with Gools at first and Juan at third. But, I would expect, right now Noah's really the front runner for starting third base for us, which slides Brandon Stallman over to shortstop with Jack Dragum, our 3-year shortstop, moving on from graduation. And I'll just tell you, like, the first thing that comes to my mind when I watch Brandon Stallman play shortstop is, as a big Panthers fan, like, dude, he's our Luke Kuechly. Like, he is the mind in the middle of the field that makes everybody better. And always communicated, talking and positioning himself and thinking along with the game and having an understanding for situations and the base runners and their speed and the pitcher and how to go in there and help him. So, I would expect Stahl's kind of leading the charge at shortstop, but you've got Dante DeFranco right there too again, and you've got Shane Taylor, who's probably the front runner to be our second baseman. And I wouldn't say probably. I mean, he's been an elite second baseman since he's been on campus here. We're so thankful that he's here, and he's been just an energy, like just an huge energy guy for us on a daily basis, combined with his, bat to ball skills, swing decision, on base ability, and made some tremendous plays at second. So, some form or fashion, those group of guys will be around the infield. And the good thing is there's some good ones that I didn't even mention that I'm leaving out that are going to have opportunities. I mean, Chase Penley from Weatherford is a really good shortstop who, he's going to be in there. And Sam Dansky, true freshman, right here from Charlotte, he's going to have opportunities. So Owen Fuller, transfer from Baylor, he's hit a few homers and played some really good defense for us and is just an absolute grinder. So he's going to have opportunities. And, I don't have a roster in front of me or anything like that. So I know I'm leaving a few guys off. But opportunities are coming for these guys, and our infield group has been really good.
The Luke Kuechly comparison that you made with Stallman, he's starting to look like Luke Kuechly too. He's a beast. He's obviously put in his offseason work as well, because there's a noticeable difference physically with Brandon. So he's looking to be in great shape as well. One thing I will say, just in the amount of time we've been able to observe some scrimmages, Coach, is I am really prepared to like Shane Taylor's game. This dude, other teams are going to hate this dude. He's a get on base any way possible guy. His plate discipline, he can hit it. He's high effort, high energy kind of guy. Seems to be pretty good in the dugout too. So the limited observations I've been able to have on Taylor, I'm on board.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those guys that I don't know. I mean, you hear there's coaches out there that kind of bash the transfer portal and that sort of thing and rebuilding rosters, but like I'm sad that I only get to coach Shane for 1 year. You know, it's like he's and we've got a lot of them, quite frankly, but it's like, you know, he's one of those things where you're thankful you got the transfer portal and that you get to coach a kid like him for a year.
One thing you ought to drop in here, Kevin, is since Dante came up a couple times, you guys put out on social, I don't know probably about 3 weeks ago now, that after practice one day, you kind of gathered everybody around and surprised Dante by putting him on scholarship.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest moments since I've been at Charlotte. I mean, Dante DeFranco's I'm not shy to say it. He's one of my favorite players I've gotten to coach. He's one of my favorite players because he's a throwback. He's a throwback to kind of my era of like when you played college baseball, when like you go to a school and you stay at a school. You go to a school and you give it everything you got for that school. There is no alternative. And you know, for him and his family to have been here since, you know, I think the fall of 2020 and to bring so much that they've brought to our program, you know, for me, it was really and our staff, it was really a no-brainer just because, you know, here's a kid who's a criminal justice major, who's doing it all in the classroom, who's one of our hardest workers, who's one of our best vocal leaders, who's transformed himself into a legitimate Division I player and just does all the right things. And, you know, he's actually got another year of eligibility left. And so it's going to be a sad day for me when I don't get to coach Dante DeFranco. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and when he got called, when his number got called a few times last year, whether it was various situations, I remember Jack needed a day off or various things happened. When he got when you called his number, I mean, he stepped in and produced right away.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the type of person he is. I mean, he's incredibly prepared and he's in it for all the right reasons. And when you are those two things, usually you get paid off. And the tough part is like you don't always get paid off tomorrow. And to his credit, that he just kept running the race and kept doing all the right things. And, you know, I'm going to always try to do anything I possibly can for, you know, not only for Dante and his family, you know, now and moving forward, but really any player in our program that displays those traits. You know, we're going to always try to take care of as best as we possibly can because we really value them.
All right. Well,
sorry, Kevin, I cut you off there, but I had to get that in about Dante.
No. I think we were saying the same thing. It's good. I love Dante's versatility, great attitude. You plug him in anywhere, anything you ask him to do, he does it, and does it well. So, great to see that, and another great story coming from our program. But we talked a little bit about the outfield. Spencer Nolan moving out there to play a little bit of outfield this year. Talk about some of the other outfielders that you are competing for spots this fall and in the spring now.
I think the first one you got to jump to, other than Spence and center, is probably Carson Bain. I mean, Carson he's just a really dynamic player, explosive player. He's a get out of his way and let him play kind of player, just from a coaching standpoint. Like he's gonna be the one. Like I'll probably have to reel back a little bit along every once in a while, but I'm excited just to kind of see him run, and I think our fan base should be too. For the baseball fans out there that have followed college baseball for a while, I mean, he just reminds me a lot of a player that I played against in college, Shane Robinson, center fielder from Florida State. Shane Robinson was a leadoff guy who was about Carson's size, really fast twitch. Like as soon as you underestimate him, like he's going to hit a ball 420 feet. And Carson can do that. He can hit the ball out to all fields, and he's got probably our strongest outfield arm. So he's just an explosive player that will likely start in left, but he can play center and he can play right if need be. And he's really good. So right field is probably our most competitive, which would probably make sense that when you lose a guy like Cam Fisher, it's 30 plus homers. There's a lot of competition there really between true freshman Johnny Sutrick, who's kind of turned some heads since he's been on campus with his level of play and his consistency and his work ethic. Thad Ector, transfer from one of our 3 Central Florida guys that who's a switch hitter and really, really talented, fast, and could have a chance to lead our team in stolen bases. Like he's just a really, really dynamic player. But we got another true freshman in Reed Hare that he's starting to turn some heads as well. He hit a ball out yesterday. Pretty good, and he's been playing center. He's been playing left and right. He's a left guy that can cover a lot of ground. And the game is, for our true freshmen, and we've got a number of them that are very talented. And the cool thing for us is like we're starting to see the game slow down for some of these guys a little bit. In the fall, it's a little fast, and I try to withhold too much evaluation of terms of what guys are going to be, true freshmen are going to be in the fall. Just really try to help those guys learn and be successful. But yeah, I mean, you're starting to see the game slow down a little bit and starting to see some confidence rise up out of some of these guys. So right field's going to be a little bit of I don't want to say a revolving door, but there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to be out there with some opportunities. And, Bain could go to right and some of those guys could play left. But, right field's going to be a little bit up for grabs, and it's going to be the guys who take the bull by the horns and, is going to be the ones going to be out there the most for us. I mean, you guys know how much we value defense. So when you got 3 guys that can hit, it's going to come down to really who can play the best defense.
You start projecting, Kevin. When we saw Reed Hare hit that home run last night. We also saw Goolsby mash one last night. But when you start projecting like Reed Hare and Johnny Sutrick, they're so young. If you start thinking about them having a year with McKibben, 2 years with McKibben, the baseball tools are there. And as the physicality catches up, as they mature and spend time in the weight training program, it's hard not to be a little excited about guys that young that have those kind of tools, knowing that there's still a maturation process that's coming.
Yeah, I think for me as a coach, I try to never lose sight of the fact that our transfer guys, our JUCO guys, they were freshmen. At some point they were in their first year of Division I baseball or college baseball, and so I don't know. You look at it through a little bit different lens with the high school guys, a little bit big picture, a little bit long term, and then your transfers, junior college guys. You're still developing, you're still teaching, you're still projecting, but it's just a little bit of a shorter window type of deal. So just really proud of our freshmen. I mean, that was actually my point of emphasis at the end of the scrimmage yesterday when we wrapped up Sunday night was just how I think we've got so many freshmen that are playing more like sophomores right now in our preseason compared to the fall, between Joseph Taylor making a jump on the mound and looking really good, and Johnny Sutrick and Reed Hare and Tanner Kaler coming in out of the bullpen, and Sam Dansky putting a lot of good swings on the ball and making good plays. Wesley Jones might be a top 3 round pick in 2 drafts from now. I mean, he's just incredibly talented, and we think he's going to have a huge part of our pitching staff. So again, I'm leaving guys out, but just our freshmen across the board. It's a cool thing to see, because it's harder now than ever to be a true freshman in Division I baseball. Certainly, this caliber, as far as just programs competing for championships and trying to make runs in the NCAA tournament. Like it's never been harder to play. I mean, you got guys that are 23, 24-year-olds still just in college baseball.
All right, Coach, we're looking like we're running up about an hour here. We still hadn't talked about the pitching staff, so we're going to talk pitching next time. We got a whole nother show to do before the season starts, so we'll dig deep into the pitching staff next show. Coach, what you got coming up this weekend? How can folks get out, come see you guys before the season starts?
Yeah, we sort of started our in-season rhythm last week with last Monday off, and then we kind of have like a Tuesday routine, a Wednesday routine, a Thursday routine leading into a series. So we got on that rhythm last week. We're back on it this week, with today being our guys' off day, and then we'll get back out there tomorrow and Wednesday, Thursday for training and bullpens and lifting and all those things that we do to prepare for the weekend. And Friday looks good, so we'll probably go 4:00 start on Friday afternoon. Try to simulate the same time we'll go the following week, and then we've got a little bit of rain in the forecast on Saturday and Sunday. I think it's like 40-45% chance. So kind of TBD on the start times for Saturday and Sunday. Just really depending on, if it's going to rain in the afternoon, we'll go in the morning. If it's going to rain in the morning, we'll go in the afternoon. So just everybody can kind of follow us on X to see when, we'll put that out there as soon as we can as far as what time it starts. But we're going to have 3 good scrimmages. They should all be roughly 9 innings in length. A bunch of our pitchers have been built up and spread out to where we've got some guys that are throwing twice on the weekend now, and that type of thing. It just is, they're going to be prepared for Virginia Tech. So, so I would just plan on 4:00 Friday and TBD Saturday and Sunday, just depending on the kind of the rain forecast. Like I said,
quick glance at the forecast. There is the aforementioned chance of rain, but Friday the high is 60, no chance of rain, sunny and 60. Saturday is a high of 68, and Sunday's a high of 69. So when the boys get on the field, if you're wanting to get a look at this squad, that sounds like a good opportunity to me. So, all right, we'll be back with you next week. We'll let Coach Woody talk about his pitching staff. We'll get you ready for Virginia Tech. We'll do all that stuff. Can't wait. We're back, as Coach Woody appropriately said at the beginning. We are back. It's going to be a great run from here. Heck, Coach, we're going all the way from here to June, right? It's a week-by-week thing. So we appreciate you tuning in. Check out this podcast. We're obviously on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, all those types of places. If you want to follow Diamond Niner Report, you can find us on social media with Twitter. See, what do you call it? X. I still call it Twitter. I don't know. I always mess that up. But Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, still never TikTok. We love hearing from you all. So feel free to reach out with questions, comments, feedback, anything. And as always, if you're old-fashioned like us, just say hello to us at the ballpark, because we love talking to you guys. So for Kevin, for producer Brad, for Coach Woody, this is Nick saying good night, and we'll see you at the Haze.
Go Niners.